Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the C-Man. I want to welcome you to another edition of the C-Man's Cinema Sit Down. Pardon my eyes, they're going to be on the road as I talk to you here, as we're fresh out the theater after seeing a movie, and you're going to go, C-Man, you're not fresh out the theater. Well, it's a little wet outside, and I haven't been in Portchester in a minute, and I know I'm going to hit traffic getting home, and I got to go see this movie a second time at 7 o'clock, and I'm pumped for that. So I'm going to do things on the move, but I want to keep this fairly short and sweet, hopefully, because I'm just giving you like my fresh right out the theater thoughts. I feel like I gotta sit with this one for a little while. What am I talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat. We are getting ready to dive in, spoiler free, fresh out the theater and on the road into Ant-Man the Wasp, Quantumania. Like I said, I want to keep this fairly quick. One thing that I will say about this movie is I think it's a level up for Peyton Reed. I think the narrative hurts him in certain ways when it comes to pacing, when it comes to building momentum. There are things with the structure of this movie that I don't think help it. It doesn't really follow the traditional third act structure, and I feel like this movie could need this, or could use this. Jeff Loveless is the writer here who worked on Rick and Morty. You can definitely feel some Rick and Morty vibes on certain things with this movie, and I don't think, like in a television show, the way that they kind of work through things, specifically multiversal, works. But in a movie like this, I don't think it does. And the thing it's lacking is the momentum, and you can't really not fault the writer and the director in that standpoint. But when it comes to the behind the camera stuff, I thought that Peyton Reed built a pretty epic sci-fi movie, man. Like, there are some fantastic stretches in this, right? Like, while I don't think the movie has the gel that it needs to really thrive, I mean, there was no cheering in my theater just now, even though it was only like half full. Even when the movie was over, like, nobody was really talking. It was pretty quiet, which isn't typical for Marvel movies, and it's because it doesn't have that go. But what you're watching is pretty epic, man. I know that the CGI for some people might be wonky. I don't know, maybe I wasn't clear-headed enough to know if it was wonky, but I thought it looked pretty dope, man. And I love me some mind-melding visuals, and I was very ready for some mind-melding visuals, and I enjoyed all of that stuff. I thought the action set pieces were great when they were there. The Ant-Man and the Wasp stuff, I continued to like to see how Reed plays with different things, and adding Cassie into the mix definitely creates some fun Ant-Man and the Wasp moments. On an acting side, I mean, come on, Paul Rudd is the man. I love him, and the one thing that I really needed this movie to do to be successful was to level Ant-Man up. I think he needs to be one of the front and center Avengers as we move forward. Him and Sam, for me, are gonna be, I think, two of the big ones, along with Evangeline Lilly. I hope that they level her up a bit, because she's kind of lost in this movie, which is another knock I would give Loveless. I could have used more of her. But like I said, when you're looking at the stuff that's going on with Ant-Man and the Wasp, there's lots of fun things there. Rudd handles that stuff really well. Lilly handles that stuff really well. But this is a big level up, I think, for Paul Rudd. Like, I bought him as a superhero. And the one thing I will give the narrative is that it does kind of play in a little bit. I wish it would have dived in more and shaved some of the fat down. But like, there were elements about Scott that I was like, okay, this movie did get me to where I need him. So I loved everything that Rudd was doing. He handles the comedy well, even though it feels kind of awkward at times in this movie. I enjoy everything that Rudd does. Lily is great as well. I just would have liked more of her. Love Pfeiffer, love Douglas, although narratively, I thought that Michelle Pfeiffer's character created issues. It's like, the movie gets you right going, but her character kind of drags her feet on something where it's like, I don't know why we're waiting for an hour to get to this thing. But you know, I like what you get from both of them performance-wise. There's a whole lot going on down in the quantum realm, and I think, you know, sometimes you can lose some of those things, but the heart of this movie is always there, and that's Cassie Lang. Catherine Newton is fantastic. I think she actually kind of ages herself down in her performance, which works perfectly for the character, and she just has this nature to her that, again, is a really big driving force for Scott. And it is just something that constantly grounds the movie. And if you ever feel like it's not feeling like an Ant-Man movie, because a lot of times this movie is not doing your typical Ant-Man movie type things, Cassie is the thing that brings you back into that world, and Catherine Newton is fantastic. I like that you found a way to get Des Malchian into this movie, even though our core three with T.I. and my man Michael Pena. While they're not in it, they found a spot for Desmachi, and he is involved with some of the Quantumania characters that are down there. I enjoyed him. I enjoyed two of the other characters that are kind of alongside him. But the other big one you got to talk about, obviously, is Kang. I think narratively, they made some mistakes here. I had heard some stuff about, like, oh man, there were decisions I didn't quite understand, and I'm like halfway through the movie, 3/4 of the way through the movie, going, I don't know if I'm feeling those. And then they start to hit, and I understand what people are talking about. I kind of agree. I think there was a different way you could have gone about this character and still gotten this story to do all the things that it did. That being said, Jonathan Majors knows this character, and he crushes it, man. I mean, he is terrifying. He's menacing. He is the big bad that I could see being bigger than Thanos, but I don't think people are going to walk out of this movie going, oh man, this guy could kick Thanos' butt, or is going to be a bigger bad than Thanos. I'll be interested to see what happens with the character, but I think Majors has everything that you're looking for. The one other person that I will mention is Corey Stoll, playing MODOK here, as a mechanized organism designed only for killing. I like the MODOK stuff here. Some of the action around him is pretty dope. All the action actually around him and Kang is pretty awesome. Corey Stoll is interesting. They do some things. I'm fascinated with this character. I'm looking forward most to paying more attention to that the second time around, but I liked what Stoll did, and I think I liked what they did with MODOK. But yeah, I don't know, man. This movie is a trip for sure, and it's gonna work for some people. It's not gonna work for other people. I think it worked more than it didn't, and I definitely don't think it's a rotten score as far as like a movie goes. So let's get the C-Maniacs up. Let's give this thing a score. Like I said, I think Loveless's narrative here is missing that special sauce. It almost kind of felt like you needed Kevin Feige to come in and clean up some of the Kang narrative stuff and some of the other things that would have kept, you know, your main core three that you want to stick around for in the Ant-Man stuff more front and center. But I think overall, the narrative sets up cool action bits. It does some great stuff for Ant-Man. I wish it would have done great stuff for Wasp. I think it does okay things for Kang. Like, I think Majors really elevates that material a lot. But some of the decisions around Kang and some of the other things that are going on, specifically with Janet and pieces of that story, just didn't hit for me. And it doesn't feel like it has a 3-act structure, because it doesn't. And if it did, I think it would have maybe had that momentum that I was looking for the whole movie. Like, you get awesome set pieces at times and really cool visuals. And I think what Peyton Reed does behind the camera and with what's going on with the visuals and the action set pieces is a big level up, man. I enjoyed the Ant-Man and the Wasp stuff and the shrinking and the different things in the quantum realm, but the movie just doesn't have that, like, gelling piece that makes it click where you're like cheering and getting really pumped. And that's unfortunate, because in some ways you could say you waste some really strong performances. I love Rudd. I needed more Lily. I love Catherine Newton. I can't wait to see where she goes. There's a lot of characters in here. I think you could have trimmed some of them down, but everybody that shows up, I enjoyed. And I think Jonathan Majors is gonna be a force to be reckoned with. He's just not what I anticipated him to be in this movie. There's also 2 post-credit scenes, a mid-credit and a post-credit, or a true post-credit. They're pretty freaking fantastic, and I feel like you're going to hear people talk more about the post-credit scenes than the movie itself, which I think is a problem in general right now for Marvel. That being said, I think this is stronger than Love and Thunder. I think it's one of the stronger movies in the last phase that we've had. I'm going 3 out of 5. I had a lot of fun at certain times. I just wish it would have, like, made me get up out of my chair, but I think it did what I wanted to do for Ant-Man. I can't wait to see what we get with Kang and more Jonathan Majors, specifically what Loki season 2 is going to bring us. You know, like, we've seen Loki see the statues, so you know that Kang the Conqueror is coming in there some way. So I'll be interested to see how that all comes together. But for me, 3 out of 5. So I'm almost home, getting ready to go see the movie again. Now I want to know what you guys are thinking. Did you go see Quantumania yet? Did you do the 3P? Did you see it previously? What did you think? Is this one working for you? Is this a sign that, you know, things can go in the right direction? I think Marvel's got to scale down a little bit, but they can get there. Like, I think the pieces are there. I think they just got to be willing to adapt some things. Maybe Loveless. But that being said, what do you think there? What do you think about the script, the narrative? What was working and not working with Kang and Ant-Man and Quantumania? If you haven't seen the movie, how excited are you? Where is it on on your list? Are you going to see this in theaters? If you should, I saw it in IMAX 3D. I would recommend seeing it on a big screen because it definitely hits in that department. But let me know if you're going to see it in the theaters, or if you're going to wait for it to come in streaming. Anything you got on Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, good, bad, indifferent, put it down below in the comments section. I look forward to talking to you guys down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the C-Man anytime we're talking movies, TV, trailer, reactions, you want to see a full non-spoiler, maybe a spoiler review, get a little bit more into the weeds of what's going on with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, where we could be going, how we could course adjust, and how maybe in a couple years we look back and go, you know what, this movie was actually pretty freaking fantastic. This feels like a movie that, like, what comes next could really impact how we look back on it. So if you want to be here for any of those thoughts, ideas, or coverages, you haven't yet, and you want to show a little love and support the old C-Man, well, come join C-Maniac Nation. Super easy. All you gotta do is jump over there, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts. And until next time, for the C-Man Cinema Sit Down, I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace. Oh, you guys are still here. You snuck up on me. You must be looking for more of this guy. Well, I got two video options for you, man. Right up here and right over here. And if you want all those C-Man goodies, well, hey, come join the squad right on over there, and I'll catch you on the next one.